The news, good evening. The High-Level Committee on Child Protection Matters has today submitted several recommendations to President Danny Faure. This was during the committee's second meeting this morning at State House. The committee was created last month after 3 men were convicted on various counts of sexual assault on children and other offences. The committee comprises of the Chief Justice, the Attorney General, the Police Commissioner, officials from 3 ministries, Family Affairs, Education, Health, amongst others.
The law reform is going to be quite comprehensive. There are several strands of legislation concerning children that needs to be looked at, reformed, uniformized. It includes the Children's Act, the Penal Code of Seychelles, the Evidence Act. And there's also a whole raft of legislation that needs to be promulgated for the first time. The cyber crimes that did not exist when the Penal Code was enacted in the very early 20th century. So there's a lot of things that have to be changed. We also want to bring in other aspects that will help prosecute these offenses, like mandatory reporting, and setting up structures for the investigation of these offences. There have been many organizations working in this area for a number of years who have brought forward recommendations. A lot of these recommendations have remained on shelves. They haven't been enacted. In fact, what we are doing now is collating a lot of this material that is already there. There is already a huge amount of research on this subject. It's actually just now to harness the national will to have these matters looked at substantially and legislation enacted. And it will involve a consultation with the public, with other stakeholders.
World Family Day is celebrated on the 15th of May every year. The Ministry of Family Affairs has, together with its partners, decided to make a donation to all newborns to mark this event today. The Minister for Family Affairs, Mrs. Mitzi Larue, said that it is very important to value newborn babies within families since they represent the foundation of society. Minister Larue expressed the importance of solidarity in families, especially at this time when the world is facing the COVID-19 pandemic. The donation was accepted by Marie-Josée Dancao, who is the nurse in charge of maternity at the Seychelles Hospital. Following the National Assembly's decision to suspend debate on a bill to amend the Employment Act amendments that will protect workers from being made redundant and safeguarding their salaries during the period of 20th of March to the 20th of June, private sector's workers, union and representatives from the Ministry of Employment engaged in a consultative meeting. Private sector and trade unions have expressed concerns relating to their inability to avoid redundancy and salary cuts due to their current financial situation. On the other hand, Workers' Union has expressed concerns with the possibility that large numbers of employees will be made redundant. The Principal Secretary for Employment, Jules Baker, says that the matter will be taken to the government for a review and shall be forwarded to the National Assembly.
We've been meeting with the private sector, the trade unions. Yesterday we met with the trade unions, and this morning we met with the private sector. And this afternoon we met with all together for us to have a general consensus on the way forward. So we've reached, both parties have reached a consensus. Now the next step is for us to go to the government, because there are financial implications based on the recommendations that have been made. So we need to go back to the government, so the government will consider, and then we will go to the National Assembly on Tuesday.
The Central Bank of Seychelles says there has been an increased demand for foreign exchange for the past week. However, the CBS did not have to intervene to supply foreign exchange to commercial banks. Speaking at a press conference this morning, the bank's governor, Caroline Abel, said that the central bank's foreign exchange reserve is at $608 million and will last up to 18 months. She added that even if the foreign rate has increased compared to the beginning of the year, it has been stable for the past week. The CBS is continuously advising members of the public to only buy essential goods and make a savings, for we are living in a lot of uncertainty.
The exchange rate has remained stable. However, we've seen an increase in the level of demand by 3.8% compared to the week before, but also a slight increase in supply. So the central bank would like to reiterate its message that we contain our level of expenditure domestically so that we don't put pressure on the exchange rate, and that we can prolong the life of the reserves. And also this week we have not put extra forex in the system, and this is helpful to us to maintain a level of reserves. At the same time, we also received a receipt from the IMF support of $31 million that has gone into the reserves.
The Fisheries Ministry is working on an MOU with the Maritime Academy. It was the Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries, Charles Bastien, who made the announcement this morning during his visit to the Academy. Minister Bastien was accompanied by the Principal Secretary for Fisheries, Jude Talma, and the Interim Chief Executive Officer of the Seychelles Fishing Authority, Cyril Bonlama. They visited... During their visit, they also held discussions with the Academy's management. The SMA has a total of 147 students who are following 4 different courses at certificate level.
The MOU will be a framework whereby we will work on the needs of the fisheries sector, on the needs also of the SMA, the Maritime School, so that we can develop a better understanding, meet whatever the needs they have to whatever extent we can with the resources that we have. So, and for them to develop certain courses also that will help us as a ministry, as the authority, as the school also, to boost the fisheries sector of this country. Even before the COVID, when we were working on the comprehensive plan for fisheries, the SMA, the Maritime School, has a central role with regards to the plan that we want to put up for the country, especially now in this time of COVID-19, for us to make sure that things does happen on the ground. So my visit today was for me to find out what are the shortcomings, what are the infrastructural needs of the SME, what are the other resources that they require in order for us to boost the fisheries sector. So my visit was to meet with the management of the school, the board, the chairman, to appreciate what are the needs, to work on those needs wherever we can, which are reasonable, to develop the sector. We want the SME, the Maritime School, to become a center for fisheries alongside what it is now with regards to tankers. So we will need to work closely with the SMA in order to make this happen.
And with this, we end this news summary. Thank you for watching. Have a pleasant evening.